Good evening, everybody, and welcome into the Auto Rhythm Fantasy Studios. I'm your host, Jamie, and I got my co-host, Eli, on the other side, rocking that Ohio State jersey over there, even though it's the wrong jersey.
Yeah, I called at the same time. My friend LA Knight, he called it out. I called it out. Ohio State, baby. Too bad they're gonna lose to Tennessee this weekend, but uh, got to show a little love to the Scarlet Boys one last time before Ryan Day's fired, and they lose their backfield, they lose their receiver, they lose their quarterback, and it's back in the portal they go. But yeah, man, we're doing some more spotlights tonight. I heard.
Yes, we are doing another spotlight. We are recording these on a Monday night, but then they will be put out on a Saturday sometime. So if you're not, watching us, or if you don't, well, not watching us. Of course you're watching us, but if you want to like and subscribe to our channel and know when these things come out, you gotta hit that bell for notifications. And we just uploaded our first one. And there's another one getting prepared to come out this upcoming Saturday. So I mean, we're gonna be putting out as many as we can for the NFL draft, our thoughts on these guys and whatnot. So make sure you just follow us on Spotify, YouTube, X, Instagram, Discord. All those descriptions will be at the bottom of our video down there. So you can always check those out. But yeah, is there anything else you want to mention real quick before we dive in to the guy we were going to talk about?
No, big slate of bowl games. Obviously, we're recording this on a Monday. You guys would be seeing it on a Saturday or later. I mean, that's the nice thing about these draft spotlights. That we're going to project a few of the teams that we think might, some of the NFL teams that this particular player might end up on. So that could change. Obviously, the draft order is going to change in the next couple of weeks as the NFL season wraps up. So that could change, but basically, tonight's guy, Tai Felton from Maryland. Maryland went 4-8 this year. They're not playing any more bowl games. He might play in the Reese Senior Bowl or something. So that that might affect his draft status, as well as the combine and all that kind of jazz. But yeah. So, but beyond that, we got bowl games coming up. Playoff games coming up this weekend. So when we debut this episode, you'll probably be watching. Maybe. Who knows? Ohio State, Tennessee. That could be the game that's on. I have to look to see what time the four games are airing. I think there's a Friday night game. I think there's 3 on Saturday for the playoffs. So yeah, just looking forward to that, Jay. Can't wait. It's a big time for college football. Congratulations to Travis Hunter. He won the Heisman, well deserved. I personally wanted Ashton Genty from Boise State to win, but he came in a close second. So no shame in that.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave my opinions to myself on the Heisman on that one.
Well, I know where you're at.
Mm.
Yeah. So with that being said, let's get into Tai Felton tonight. Bam. Woo. Woo. Smoke it. Yeah. So yeah, like I was mentioning, Maryland had a down year. Kind of hard playing in the Big Ten. Probably would have had a much better record if they were in the AAC or Mountain West or Sun Belt, conference like that. But Maryland, they got to play the big boys every week, and they just weren't very good, which is surprising because Prather, their other receiver, is an NFL prospect as well. So it's like you got 2 NFL level receivers and you're 4-8. That's kind of pathetic. But you know what? I'll get into this quick. Draft Buzz. That's usually what I use. There's different mock drafts. There's different sites that do projections on players. Draft Buzz is the one I used last year, and so far I'll be using it this year. I used it for last week's guy, Amon-Ra Hampton from UNC, so I'll use it again. That might change in the future. Maybe I find a better source, but so for right now, he's the 93rd overall prospect according to Draft Buzz, 8th ranked receiver. So he's dropped a little bit from where he was at the beginning of the season back in September. I mean, his stock was shooting up. As you can see some of the stat lines there on the bottom. His first 4 games of the year, you could argue, for the first month of the season, he was the best receiver in the country. You could argue that. And then he got hurt in that Indiana game. Obviously, they lost that one, and he had a few moments here and there, but it just seemed like his season went downhill after that. Tai Felton just didn't hold up to that same standard. Ended up having over 1,100 yards, almost 100 catches, 9 touchdowns. So yeah, still had a big year, but just from that first month, we thought it'd be Tai Felton and T-Mac as like the 1A in terms of the top receivers in the country. Ended up being Nick Nash and Travis Hunter from Colorado. But so right now he's projected to anywhere from a third, possibly to an early 5th round pick. I'm thinking, right, a couple different sources I saw, probably around a 4th round pick, which is nothing wrong with that. He's a possession receiver. He's taller. He's 6'2", a little slender, and that hurts him too. Because most of these guys that are lanky, that are 6'2", 180 pounds, they can run like a 4.4 or like 4.45, maybe high, maybe 4.38. They've got they're burners, right? Because they're lean and they're like who am I thinking of from the Eagles? Devontae Smith. They're built more like him, right? They have 40 times like him. Tai Felton a little slow, runs about a 4.61. And that might change, like I said, the combine. He might run a little bit faster at the combine, kind of or his pro day. He might get that number up a little bit, but a 4.6 is slow for a receiver of his size and kind of the position that he plays. I mean, he's supposed to be, an outside X receiver. I look at him more as a possession, maybe slot guy. And that's why I use Tai, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, that's a lot to ask. CD Lamb, guys like that are similar height, similar weight. They're just, I don't see Tai Felton being that level of NFL player, so it wouldn't be fair to him to have his comp as one of those sort of guys. Devontae Adams, I mean, these guys are like, they could be Hall of Famers someday. I don't see that from Tai. I think Tai Felton's going to be solid, but
I think they kind of use him as a high end comp, cause more of a focal point to the offense, kind of the lead target kind of guy in a PPR kind of league, which is probably why they say kind of he's kind of Amon's kind of this this focal point, which Tai was actually the focal point in Maryland. So I mean you can kind of say Brown well Felton was their Brown in Maryland, so I mean that's kind of why they maybe the higher composition of a St. Brown, but I mean kind of to include on that too. I mean, there's a mid and low. I mean, he could be a Jacoby Myers. I mean, reliable, productive, but yet it all depends on he could be a slot guy too. So I mean, Jacoby Myers kind of does that, as what Felton does.
And Jay, Jacoby and I have Tyler Boyd up there. Not so much his Titan days, but his Bengal days. Where I mean, he was before Chase got there. You could argue he was their number one guy, or I know when T Higgins got there as well. But I mean, for a couple year stretch, I mean, Boyd was like their number one receiver. It's when they were bad, but I mean, he put up a couple 1,000-yard seasons. He was a really good number 3, like one when the Super Bowl team with Higgins.
Yeah, most definitely.
So, I mean, at the very least, I see Tai Felton being a really good number 3 for somebody. At kind of where I think he's going to land. I don't Jacoby Myers. I think Jacoby Myers, same thing. I think being the number 2 with the Raiders the last couple of years, he's been exposed. Like he had a decent 2023, but he's not a high end 2. Like Jacoby Myers would be a really good 3 on like a Chiefs and Eagles, a team like that. I think that's where he kind of falls in. Amon-Ra St. Brown is like, he's like the absolute ceiling of this because he was a 4th round pick out of USC, as we remember. He ran like a 4.4 or it was like a 4.64, or it was like a really slow 40 time. And he's he's similar. He's like 6'1", 195. So he's similar size to Tai Felton. If Felton needs to put on a little bit of weight, obviously, but runs great routes, great hands. Can create separation, good at 50-50 balls. So, I mean, Felton's got the attributes of an outside X, a number 1 receiver. He has the attributes. I think he lacks the explosion. And I don't know where I'll let you jump in there. Like what have you seen from him? I mean, other than, kind of like the bullet points there on his strengths and weaknesses.
I kind of see him more as he kind of lacks that deep threat, I mean, So while we're kind of here, I'll just pop this up while we're talking real quick. For me, I think he just lacks a little bit your deep threat a little bit. I mean, he doesn't. I think he'll have to be fine tuned just a little bit. Um, he'll need to kind of learn a little bit of blocking too. A little bit. He didn't really do a whole lot of that up at there
No.
in Maryland because they weren't really a run heavy team. They were just mostly more of a pass heavy kind of team over there. But overall, I mean, he does got some good hands. He does got some good upside to him, anyways. I mean, it's his speed hand. So it's the fact of the landing spot and the capability of what he's got. The other thing too is you're talking about day two. I think he is more of a day two, round two, day second
Oh,
round.
you
It's like
got him.
round.
You got him going in the second round. Woo.
Yeah, second round. I
Woo.
think he's going to be a day two guy. I mean, if you think about a couple of these rank, kind of the overall projections. The wide receivers. I know the draft buds, they got him ranked ninth. So he's up there. So he's up there rather high. I'm like, well, I mean, I kind of like what this guy is kind of going on. When we kind of talk about the dynasty aspect of here, we'll kind of bring that up here shortly. But just overall, I think he's got some good skills to actually be, a kind of a the best case scenario. His ceiling could be, aka like a
Devontae
Kirk.
Adams. St.
No,
Brown, Devontae.
a Kirk Cousins, not Kirk. I mean Christian Kirk. Sorry, Christian Kirk. It could be
I
his
hadn't
ceiling
thought
as a
about
Chris.
I hadn't thought
So I
about
mean,
Kirk. I hadn't. Yeah, that's good.
because
Good point.
if you think about that, I mean, Kirk, he was kind of in that wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. He wasn't really doing a whole lot, and then he got his opportunity to he kind of had that one good year with the Cardinals, and he actually bumped up to the Jags, where they kind of made him a featured guy, and he kind of slimmered off here a little bit. But he got injured. But the worst case his floor could be a Josh Palmer. I mean, if the room is pretty heavy, he's not going to get to see the playing time. So that's going to kind of hurt him, quite a bit. So I mean, if it's a crowded room, it's going to be very, very, very hard for him to get on the field. But I don't think, with his talents, I think he'd be able to kind of, bump into that wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 area, be able to kind of get on the field right away. But I mean, it all depends on the quarterback too. If the quarterback's kind of shitty, I mean, they're not going to be. He's not going to be seeing the targets like he did.
You know what? I'm gonna got the hand. Talk to the hand. You know what? I'm gonna pop this up.
Sweet Jesus.
Jesus. It fits exactly what he said. I was gonna wait on this, but hell, let's go for it. He's talking about quarterbacks and good landing spots for Tai Felton. And what the hell? Let's blow the load a little bit early, whatever. I like a lot of these, like, Shanahan, McVay kind of systems, these West Coast timing, kind of, obviously the Rams are the obvious choice because of who they usually look for. Puka, great route runner. Puka wasn't exactly a burner at BYU. He wasn't a burner in his 40 time, but you could argue Puka's a top 10 receiver in the league.
Yeah, I mean, Puka. I mean, he was kind of under, a guy that wasn't on our radar. Next, he had a good training camp, and then just because of the
15.
that, and only because the wide receiver room was actually open. It was actually open enough for him to actually get the receptions, to actually get playing time, which benefited him. Which is why we're all up over him, because that and the quarterback situation. Stafford likes slinging the ball around, and they like spreading it out, and which is why we like that guy.
And he can, he's got like Cooper Kupp isn't exactly, a burn. None of these Rams guys are burners. The one burner they did have, they got rid of. Van Jefferson. He's moving on down. He's with the I thought he was with the damn Steelers, and they probably, I don't know if he's hurt or benched or cut. I don't know. Van Jefferson's irrelevant, but you don't need that. Jerry Rice, the most famous example. I forget, but Jerry Rice was slow as hell, and DeAndre Hopkins wasn't very fast. Like Devontae Adams, start going down a list of all these great receivers, like Amon-Ra St. Brown. We talked about him. So Rams and Cooper Kupp's getting up there in age. I think he's 31, and I know Mike Evans is still going at that age, but it could be a time to get some depth. I know they took Whittington from Texas last year, late round pick. Some of the other guy, Tutu Atwell, he's kind of mid. I obviously love Puka. So I think he'd be a good fit with the Rams. You know, he can work his, you know, kind of slowly work his way up the depth chart. You know, just doesn't need to step in with the Rams because they're a good organization. They're going to be a good team, probably be a playoff team this year. They're not going to need him to step in right away. So I think that'd be a great place for a guy like him. Same thing with the Dolphins. They, you know, McDaniel's system over there, you know, a lot of that Shanahan, McVay, you know, that's where he falls in. LaFleur from the Packers, a lot of those kind of coaches. I think he'd fit in good systems. That's why I have the Vikings at 3 as well with Kevin O'Connell. I think he'd fit in with places like that. Kind of a warm weather dome situation. Dolphins. Tyreek is, you know, they were talking about maybe trading him at the trade deadline here, or, you know, at least in the offseason. I could easily see Tyreek moving on in the offseason. So you're going to need some cheap labor. You're going to need some bodies in there. It'd be a nice mid-round pick there. Miami, he'd get a lot more playing time quicker than he would with the Rams for sure. So that would help. It would help fantasy owners or dynasty owners. 3 Vikings, just some depth. I mean, you're not going to challenge Jordan Addison or Justin Jefferson at the top. I mean, I would assume Jordan Addison, as long as he stays out of trouble, is going to get a second contract with the Vikes. So those are going to be the 2 guys going forward. But you can compete with Jalen Naylor and you know, a few of those other guys for the, you know, 3-4 receiver spot. So I think that Vikings be a nice landing spot. You know, no pressure there. Good organization. Panthers, I put it for Jay. You know, I kind of had a couple extra teams this week that I decided to throw in. Panthers he reminds me a little bit of Adam Thielen. Yeah, I don't know what it is. Like, there's a little bit of Adam Thielen in him. So I put him in. Adam Thielen's old as dirt. So I mean, he could be a nice replacement for him. Him and Leggett. You know, get a nice core of young receivers. They traded Mingo. So I you know, bring in some more youth. Give, you know, if Bryce Young is going to be the quarterback next year, give him another weapon. Carolina, like with Miami, I think he'd play a lot quicker than he would with the Vikings and Rams. And then, you know, the Raiders are going to be in every. Let's be honest, especially expanded 5-team lists like this. Raiders are going to be in every top 5, maybe every top 3. I don't know, but they need help all around, especially skill position. Other than tight end, they need everything. So if we're doing a quarterback spotlight, a running back spotlight, receiver spotlight, the damn Raiders are going to be included somehow, some way. Their receiver room is trash. They traded Devontae Adams, and I mean he still has a little bit of game. We saw that Jets and Jags game this past weekend, so he's still got a little bit of Devontae left in him. So Trey Tucker is arguably their number 1 right now. I mean, that should tell you all you need to know. Like, that's Raiders need help and receive. I don't know if it's a good scheme fit, but we need body fit. So those are my 5 landing spots there. And I will mention that, you know, he did earn some honors. I mean, the Big Ten isn't known for being a real pass heavy conference, right? You know, they'll have a few guys here and there. But he was a 3rd team All Big Ten last year in 2023. This year, he was actually the 1st team guy, you know, in the Big Ten. So I don't know. I saw his stock go down after the first month. I mean, people had him when you were saying 2nd round. That's kind of where they were having him, kind of early 2nd round, maybe, I don't know, Steelers, some team like that, early on in the season. Is kind of where they were projecting him, and I think it kind of fell. I think it kind of dropped a round or 2 as the season went on. I think it's kind of leveled out now, you know, maybe 4th round. So that's kind of where I got my information on that from. But yeah, I like him because, like, he can catch. Okay, it's like the same reason that Anthony Richardson bugs me. Okay, because he's not accurate. I mean, I seriously, I think you and I could complete passes better than Anthony Richardson. So it's like receivers. Like, I don't want the drops. Okay, this guy runs great routes, and you're not gonna have any issues. There's a few games he was targeted and he caught every target. There were a few games this year he caught every pass that was targeted to him. So I don't think that would be an issue in the NFL. I think if you throw it to the guy, whether it's, you know, 50 catches a year, 30 catches a year, 70 catches a year, he's going to catch a majority of them. He's going to run great routes doing it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if he's, you know, since we're kind of talking about a lot of that, I think another team would be the Chargers because they kind of lack a little bit, or
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, we saw them against the Bucks this weekend. Yeah, they Ladma. It's the same deal with the Raiders. Only the Chargers are they have Harbaugh or have a better quarterback and better defense. Like it's the same situation. It's like you can't have Lad McConkey as your number one receiver. That doesn't work. That is not a sustainable thing. Trey
no,
Tucker is not a sustainable thing. That's why the Raiders are awful. You start going on a list. Like certain teams need upgrades. The Chargers, yeah, definitely need an upgrade at receiver.
yeah,
Josh Palmer he's good enough to be an NFL receiver, and he's had a few moments, but come on now. Josh Palmer on a good team is what, a number 3 or 4 receiver?
yeah, pretty much. He's your pretty much your last guy in your deep leagues that you're
Yeah,
starting if
exactly.
you really need a guy, and that's kind of him. He's
The
not
bench
your
guy.
bar,
Yep.
yeah, he's not your barn burner or anything like that. Which Felton is pretty much more of a a barn burner. I mean, he's a good intermediate threat. He's good at those check downs too, since he plays in the slot and stuff like that. Um, ninth, he was actually ninth overall this year, receiving yards in the country, first in the Big Ten, which is awesome, over, Tez Johnson and Pat Bryant, even though those guys actually had 10 touchdowns the season. He had 9. You can see, the work he's a workhorse. I think if he lands in this right situation, they're going to get a good talent. And for guys like us, Dynasty will kind of transition over to that here in Dynasty aspects. I I don't
He's
know.
not as Jay, he's not as big, as muscular as like a Chris Godwin or somebody like that, or but I say St. Brown, Boyd, guys like that, because they're good with yards after the catch. Like Boyd in his
Yeah,
prime, before his Bengal days, like Boyd was always in the top 15 of like yards after catch, top 15, top 20 at worst. Like Boyd was always in that range in his prime, and St. Brown's up there, up in the top 5 every year in Yak. You know, Tyreek obviously for a lot of years was up there. He might still be up there. So he's not
yep.
Tyreek's not his comp, but you get my point. Like I think this guy is versatile, and I think you can. I know he's listed as an outside X, but I think I think you can plug him in a bunch of different spots. I think, and that's why I think coaching staff is going to love this guy because he runs great routes. He can high point the ball too. I mean, for his size, he can like
Oh, yeah, yeah.
he's
Yeah,
more athletic. He doesn't have straight line speed, but he's athletic, if that makes sense.
oh, yeah, most definitely. He played 837 snaps for the Terps, that's almost 70 snaps a game. He had 149 targets on the season, 12 that's almost 12 targets a game, which is just nuts,
That's
so they were
NFL. I mean, that's an NFL. He'd like some more yards, obviously. I think he averaged like a little under 12 yards a catch, but
yeah,
96 receptions, 149 targets, over 1,100 yards. Those are
yeah.
NFL numbers. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
they are, which is nuts, you think about it too, and, this guy was only drafted 6%, in this during the college fantasy season, and, it wasn't
He
until,
was a free agent.
yeah, it wasn't until week 2, everybody's like, "Oh shit, who is this Tai Felton guy?" So that's when he ended up actually getting, rostered quite a bit, so at the start of the season, this guy was only 6% started, actually drafted anyway, sorry. But then, if you guys weren't following us too, I actually had Tai Felton week 2 in one of our weekly ads for college football too as well. So I think a guy like him, he's kind of a sleeper. If he lands on the right team, he could
I
have
think
like a Brian Thomas Jr. rookie season. A guy that, ends up, if he falls in the right situation, he could have a
not
season like Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah, not a Puka, not like a Pro Bowl, just holy shit level rookie season, but like a Brian Thomas Jr., like a nice rookie season. Just
Yeah,
a
and
not anything that's going to get you awards or anything, but fantasy owners are happy. Like, oh damn, my rookie did this. Dynasty
yeah,
owners are happy. Redraft, whatever. And you play him in DFS, he's going to hit a few times for you. Like that's the kind of impact he could have. He has high level potential, and he's going to be he has the potential to be a steal.
yeah, I think so.
I was a GMJ. If I took him, I mean, you're talking maybe second, third. I'm thinking fourth, ish. You're not. What I mean is like you're not wasting you're not spending a first round pick on this guy. Like you're not investing. Like nobody is going to take him in the first round. So you're not. Oh, he's so you don't have to worry about a bust or anything. It's like he's kind of going to go under the radar. Like we're going to know him because we're obviously we follow it pretty damn close. College and NFL, definitely fantasy, but so we're going to know. But the casual person, he's just going to go under the radar. It's like if he has a big preseason, that'll raise his stock. And then going back further, if it's a nice Senior Bowl, a nice combine, nice pro day, he could bump up, and maybe he is. Right now, to me, second round seems a little out there, but after all these things, a few months from now, he might be like middle of March, like oh damn, okay, Tai Felton, the 56th pick or something, they're looking at him, or the 49th pick, and so you're not that he has a ceiling he can get to there, and they were saying that too, and kind of his bio is like there's a lot of untapped potential, and I believe that too.
And I put down a comment here. I'm like, do we draft Burden over or do we draft Felton over Burden in a rookie
Jay,
draft?
I don't know if we're gonna cover Luther Burden, if he's gonna be a spotlight guy or not. I'll be honest, I'm not a fan. I saw what I see what I see. He's at Missouri, and I was not impressed. To me, he's got high bust potential, or he's got like a kind of like a Rashad Bateman, Quentin Johnston kind of vibe to him, where it's like like Rashad Bateman just caught 2 touchdowns yesterday against the Giants. Giants are awful. Rashad Bateman, come on, he's mid as
Bateman's been a guy that we've wanted to flash since his rookie season, and he really hasn't done all that. And then next year, this year, he's been kind of like where was this when we wanted you 2 years ago to have this potential? And it's just like, what? So yeah, I don't know. I'm just trying to think. I think Felton will be a guy that we probably draft either in the second round dynasty draft, or maybe second or third, second round or third round. He won't be a fourth rounder for sure, but somewhere between second and third round for me in my eyes for a guy you might be drafting
if
in
he's in
dynasty drafts.
For a rookie dynasty draft, if he's sitting there in the third round, I will take him. I think you would too. Like if you guys are doing rookie dynasty drafts, Tai Felton sitting there in the third round, let's say you have like pick whatever 32. I mean, nab him up. He's got a lot. There's a lot of these other guys that are they're overhyped. They're over. I don't know. They're just over processed and stuff. They're like a piece of Velveeta cheese. Like this guy. Because we've been talking about doing him for a while. I mean, he was one of the first guys we wanted to hit up in the spotlight. So we've both been interested to him, especially with the emergence this year. I remember that September to remember. Like he tore it up, and I don't know. It wasn't like a ligament injury or any major injury, but just his season just got thrown off a little bit with that Indiana game and that injury there. It just seems like he never recovered, like fully.
Yeah.
Where he was back to his 2 touchdown, 150-yard form. But
yeah, I know we didn't. Yeah, I know we didn't really see a whole lot of that from Burden this year, which a lot of us were very disappointed about that. But
I saw muffin punts and screwing up my fantasy team. That's what I saw from Luther Burden. I didn't see any. You couldn't trust him in DFS. You couldn't trust him on your fantasy team. So yeah, that's actually a good debate. People might say I'm crazy. Oh, he's a projected first round pick. I'm not that high on him. Like Tai Felton and Luther Burden that's a toss up. For rookie.
Not every
rookie dynasty draft.
Not every first rounder is going to hit. I mean, that's just the case of it. I mean, that's just the it is, and we'll have some underachievers, like a guy like Tai Felton that will come to light, and next people are going to be taught. People are going to be like, what? So it's going to be very different. Next I mean, he gets the opportunities, and it's all going to come down to situation value when it comes to Tai Felton, and to kind of is there anything else you want to mention about Tai Felton?
No. I mean, if they're losing him and Prather at receiver, if 4 games was bad, if you're a Maryland Terrapins fan, unless they get some serious talent in the portal or recruiting or something, they might lose 11 games next year. Just
Oh
saying.
yeah.
Just
They
saying.
might.
Yeah, 2 NFL receivers, and you win 4-8. That enough said. I'm done talking about Maryland. I'm excited about Tai Felton, Jay, but enough about Maryland.
Yeah. Just to wrap everything up. Tai Felton's floor is actually kind of a Christian Kirk if he actually ends up being a wide receiver too. And in his worst case scenario, it could be a Josh Palmer, either wide receiver 4 or wide receiver 5. So those are his ceilings and floors. And then he, fancy comparisons, high end, a St. Brown, if he ends up being the number 1 wide receiver, the target hog, he's not a St. Brown. A mid tier, Jacoby Myers, he's reliable. He thrives in schemes where where he operates out of the slot. Low end could be a Paris Campbell, very limited, unable to define a role in the offense, kind of thing. So that defines Tai Felton.
Yeah, I love the Paris Campbell closure at the end. Because I think he's going to make an NFL roster. We know that for sure. It's just basically where he goes from there, like how many targets he gets and situation he ends up in. But no, I'm excited. Omari and Hampton was a great first guy. Tai Felton. Jay's got a surprise for everybody when he posts it, but he might have a certain quarterback that he talked about. He had a special guest join him on that one. So you got 3 in the books? We got about
3 in the books.
About 150 more.
See, last year we did 26 people, and hopefully we get a little bit more.
Yeah, like LA Knight says, yeah, we're definitely going to get more than 22.
And then you want to recap your fits for your teams quick, and then we'll get up out of here.
Yeah, obviously I got Rams number 1. It just makes sense. They like possession, good route running. Just guys like him. They look at Puka. I mean, case in point, Cooper Kupp. He fits the mold of a Ram receiver. 2, Dolphins. They're gonna need some young cheap labor coming in. Some guys that can step. If they needed to, they could step in right away and play. And that's Tai Felton. Vikings number 3. Less pressure. You can kind of just like, oh, a couple of years we're like, oh, where'd this guy come from? He's like the KJ Osborne of their offense. You have the 2 studs, then you've got a Tai Felton, Jalen Naylor, somebody like that. They got the Vikings at 3. I think he'd fit Kevin O'Connell's offense well. 4, Panthers. He'd be a nice replacement for Adam Thielen if Thielen retires or decides to play 1 more year or so. And they need some young depth there. Coker's having Coker's having a good rookie year. Legette's having a decent rookie year. So just add some more young receiving talent with Carolina. Give Bryce Young another weapon if he's playing next year. Hopefully he's been doing better. So hopefully he gets the job again next year. And then Raiders at 5 because the Raiders are depleted on talent. I put the Giants here, but I mean they got a couple, not decent receivers.
It's hard saying.
They got
a couple. Know.
Like Wan'Dale Robinson's kind of already their slot, variety guy or whatever. So, but yeah, Raiders, Giants, those 2 nasty, stinky teams, they're going to be included on a bunch of these lists. So Raiders at 5.
Awesome. Sounds good. Other than that, make sure you guys like and subscribe to the channel. We'll this just can be uploaded, Spotify, YouTube, X. Give us a follow on up in X. My handle is AutoRhythmFant. Eli Appletop there. All that be in the description below. Discord as well. I mean, we'll end up, posting some stuff on Discord here too as well when it comes to it. I'll post him up on I have a channel for draft, pretty much draft prep. So we can talk about prospects and whatnot in those channels in there, and our thoughts on just overall mock drafts and stuff like that. But yeah, other than that, guys, you'll have to kind of stay tuned for the next guy we do. I'm not sure, but like and subscribe to the channel. And if you guys have any thoughts on
maybe somebody from Oregon.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, who knows? Yeah, maybe very well could
Pez, Dylan Gabriel. James, the running back, somebody.
Yeah, there's a lot, but yeah. But yeah, hey guys. But other than that, if you guys have any comments on Tai Felton, your overall thoughts, leave some comments down below, and so we can interact and see what you guys thought on Tai Felton yourself. If he can be on your guys' radar for a rookie draft or not, or just see your thoughts on him, landing on an NFL team too as well. So other than that, Is there anything else you want to mention? And we'll get up out of here.
Nope. Just be looking forward to this posting. The one that the spotlight that Jay did with our other guest. And yeah, just be on the lookout. We're going to be doing a bunch of these spotlights. So, you know, and you know, if you have any, like Jay was saying, if you have any suggestions for us or somebody you want to see, we took our friend Donovan. We took his advice last year and did Dallin Holker from Colorado State. That was one of our better spotlights, I thought. So, you know, we're open to suggestions. If there's guys, you know, kind of off the beaten path that you know you'd like to see a spotlight on or given some light to, or kind of see where they were projected at. Yeah, we'll jump on it. But you know, we definitely have a couple players in mind here. But beyond that, we've got an open calendar, open slate. So
Yep, sounds good. All right, guys, we're gonna get up out of here. I'm Jamie from Other Rim Fat, and that's Eli from at Eli Appletop. We're out of rhythm. We'll catch you guys on the next one later.